I'm here today with Austin of the hottest band on planet Earth, perhaps the Milky Way, whatever, the galaxy, whatever it is that you guys want to call it. Lorna Shore with a new album, Pain Remains, coming out October 14th on Century Media. Just straight up from a crazy European tour, ready to hop on almost entirely sold out North American tour. How are you?
I mean, after that introduction, man, I'm feeling pretty good.
I didn't write that down, but that's how excited I am to sit here with you today and talk about Lorna Shore and talk about Pain Remains. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the tour, the European tour and the North American tour, but let's get into the record first. And I Return to Nothingness, Pain Remains. Were these two records created in the same mindset, or were they separated from one another as far as the creative point of view is concerned?
Oh, I mean, I feel like it's definitely a completely different mindset, but the EP wasn't out yet for that long. You know, it came out in August. We recorded Pain Remains in November last year, so it was only a few months, and usually when you put out an album, you have like 2 years, year and a half, like even, shorter, at least a year to like process the album, see what people like, see what you like, go play it live, see like what parts feel good, what parts are kind of just not really, doing too much. But it was kind of cool actually to do it so quickly. I mean, not cool for the just like time and stress, but like just cool to be like really fresh off of tour, really fresh off of playing all these songs and everyone really like in the music mindset. So that's the only way it was created that fast, I think, is because we were on tour. Everyone was saying such nice things about the band was taking off. So like everything, the whole process, instead of it being 2 years, just squashed in about 2 months. And it just created this giant, amount of pressure to top the EP and just like keep that going. So, I mean, I know a lot of people online would say, oh, this song sounds like an extension of the EP. This song sounds like, could have been on the EP, but it's like, that's our first 3 songs we ever wrote with Will. You know what I mean? So we need to write more of those songs and figure out what we do. And this is our first full length. And even from here till the next chapter of Lorna Shore, I think we're learning more of what we can and can't do, with Pain Remains 1 and 2 and 3, be more emotional with the band, and, songs like Into the Earth that are just strictly, pummeling, and a roller coaster. So I'd say it's definitely, overall, definitely a very different mindset, but we were still very head in the game, like in that sense, but from the time we recorded the EP to the time it came out, there was a lot of time in between that, but we were all just, it was pandemic. We weren't really doing too much, so it's been Lorna Shore 24/7 since the EP came out.
And you mentioned the name of Will Ramos. How much has he had an impact on what the sound of these 2 releases are, but especially with Pain Remains as his first full length with you guys?
I mean, Will is just a more like real person, I think, and it's more in line with the rest of us. We had that with Tom. Tom's a very real dude. We were best friends. Like we all had a very buddy chemistry, back in Flesh, Coffin and Psalms, and, things happen. And then we got the other vocalist, and that we had no connection, no chemistry. It was kind of just you're in the band, you get paid. That's it. Like we didn't hang out. Yesterday, all of us were all hanging out all night for our bassist's birthday. We're all sitting around a table and having fun and laughing. So I think that has a big effect on the music, overall, and just like all of our minds being together, the vision, no one trying to step on each other. You know what I mean? Like really respecting each other's role in the band. So I think with Will, he's also very excited, when we write music, like he's in the room, he's amping us up on stuff that we're doing, you know what I mean? And then, I mean, you've seen his personality online. You can only imagine, when I step in the room and I start blast beating, I come in the room, it's, I'm met with just praise and just overall excitement. So I think that energy translates to the music as far as just like chemistry and all of us like being one with each other, with these songs.
Now, do you look at this record as the most ambitious album that the band has ever released?
For sure. I mean, ambitious as far as just how, the stress of it getting done and the amount of time and what we were prepared going in, or the lack of preparation, like, just like not mentally, but like on paper. Like, we didn't have songs. We didn't have, we had a game plan. We knew what we wanted to do. We just didn't, we needed to work to get to that goal. And we had to work really quickly. So ambitious in the fact that, like, the whole recording process was very ambitious, very different, writing a song, finalizing it on drums, going to track drums. While I'm tracking drums, Adam's finalizing guitar. While Adam's tracking guitar, Will's finalizing vocals. While this entire time, Andrew's doing production on his computer. And then the whole song would come together in about 2-3 days. And then as soon as Will's done with vocals, or while Will's doing vocals, I'm finalizing drums on the next song. And then song's done. Me and Adam finishing the song. And then it was just like kind of one song at a time. And then sometimes we would have like a group of 2, group of 3. We tried to do it so it was like, at first it was like one song. Then it was like, all right, let's finish 2 or 3 so we could just do 2 or 3 songs in a day, because we could do that. And yeah, I think we literally we did work until the last minute. We had to leave the studio, and then we all like took a breath, listened to the whole record as a whole for the first time, and we're like, and it's so new.
Your face is like, it was pretty good.
Yeah, like, damn, we did it. So then we went home, all got to really listen to it. I'm like, wow, like, I'm really proud of this record. I'm proud that we all made it through. I mean, we were up all night, every night, till 3 or 4 in the morning, wake up at 10, go to the studio, drink coffee, work at the studio all day, get home, eat dinner, drink some more coffee at about 10 p.m. at night to stay up till 4. And we did that for 6 weeks straight.
That's crazy.
It was a lot. I think when we left, we were all so exhausted, and mentally and physically, that it felt like we gave our all, like, actually.
Now, when I was listening to this album, one of the elements that I really enjoyed is that there's no interruptions. There's some songs that really merge well from one to the other. Obviously, Pain Remains, that trilogy there obviously does that, but it's not the only part of the record that feels seamless. The whole album feels really like you're listening to just one really long track with ebbs and flows or different chapters, and each song is a different chapter. Was that always part of the mindset, or was that something that you work out at the end in order to give the album more of this continuous flow?
No, I think it was very strategic. There were a few songs, like there were some songs where, like, where can it go in the album? And it's funny because, yeah, when we left and we listened to the record, as a track list, that's what it stayed as, because that's what it felt right. Like, and then we would write songs like Welcome Back, Oh Sleeping Dreamer. Like, that was the obvious opener. And then we were just like, all right, we need a track 2. And we had like what each song's purpose was, track 3 and 4, Sun Eater, Curse to Die, were like, these need to be just big, epic, tracks. Track 5, little intermission, with Soul's Existence, like, let's bring them back a little bit. And as far as like lyrically and just like the journey we had in our minds of the character of the story, like, that's where the ebb and flow comes. You know what I mean? It's like, the beginning is like, all right, going to battle, ready. And then Soul's Existence is kind of like, I might not win. And then it kind of comes back up with Wrath, all right, final battle. And then the end is like, the battleground, pouring with ash, you're looking at it like, fuck, what did I do? Sort of feel. So, just having that in mind, just like kind of like a hero's journey, throughout the whole thing. Cause that's kind of like what it was. It's just like, yeah, I think we definitely stayed true to our task, which is crazy because, like I said, we had no time. And the fact that we pulled off something so thought out in such little time, the only way that could happen is everyone being on the same page and everyone working just as hard as the dude next to them. You know what I mean? And Adam obviously worked overtime. Like, Adam's over here cranking it out, giving it, because he's the spark. He sparks the idea, gives it to me. And then we all spark little ideas, but the initial spark of the flame is always coming from Adam, with the melody. We could talk about the purpose of the song, but, Adam's, lead songwriter. So it's like, he's going to give us the idea, and then I might look at it differently, and then our minds come together, and then Will comes together. It's like, it always starts there, and then we all just kind of throw it in, and it felt like the most collaborative record, as far as just like everyone kind of having their input.
I defined this album on my review as having 4 pillars: the drums, the vocals, the guitars, and the orchestrations. Which one of those 4 pillars do you see as the most challenging one when it came to putting the whole sound of Lorna Shore together for this album?
I mean, drums, for me, I pushed myself. It definitely became a thing where you're writing so many songs at once. Like, usually if I have time, I can like go away from it a little bit, but every day I had to write drums. So like I was starting to do some of the same things, you know, and I was like, I'm in my comfort zone. I gotta back out. So I would, you know, be that, and that's where I would have Moke, our new bass player, who's my best friend, who's also a drummer, as you've seen, played for me on Parkway Drive and learned the songs in 5 days. It's incredible. But that's when it was good to have him along for this time around. Cause it's like, hey man, like, what would you do here? And he would do something and then I would tweak it to me. But I think overall, I mean, vocals, I mean, Will's really natural. You know, he pushes himself, and there's definitely times where, you know, we recut some of these songs, you know, 2 or 3 times. Like he would do a take and we'd be like, you know, go listen to it the night before, like change his tone, change his lyric, change his pattern. You know, we did a lot of revisions. I think guitar, you know, Adam pushed himself probably the hardest, you know, especially with the solos. You know, we went back 2 or 3 months later, me and Adam, to finish the mixing of the record, all the little, you know, fun stuff, all the, you know, all those things. Like me and Josh did that while I'm finalizing the solos. And then once the solos were brought in, every song just had such a different identity, you know. And I think that hard work on the guitar front just brought a whole new life on the record.
Is there a place where you want your drums to be in the mix for the Lorna Shore sound to be the Lorna Shore sound?
Oh, I mean, I want that. But, you know, but it's funny because you said, because always when we get a first mix back, the drums are always, and I'm like, this sounds like people are going to think I'm God. Like that's all good and plenty, but there's so much going on that's good with the music. And it's hard because a lot of bands that do what we do, the drums are kind of a little more tame. Like you listen to a band like, you know, Demu, Winter Sun, like, you know, the drums are there and they're playing just as crazy as me, but the drums are just a little more tame so you can hear everything else. But, you know, we have the breakdowns and we have, you know, these heavy parts. So those parts suffer if we bring it and we tame it. So it's hard to find that tamed balance between what's going to be over the top and ridiculous and like really smashing, and also like readable, and also just very like, you know, you can sonically understand it and hear everything else. So I think with this, you know, we really played around with those levels. I mean, we literally had a whole thing where we brought a computer into my producer's car, and he had his like the mix up on his car wirelessly with a monitor, and he had it to his like home studio computer, and we adjusted the drum mix in the car because we were like, everyone's going to listen to it in the car. And I kept telling him that it was a little too much. So we did that, and then we went inside. I was like, this is perfect. Like, literally perfect.
Wow. I love that thought process. That's really thinking outside the box.
Yeah. I mean, I have videos somewhere of that entire process of him running these cables through his house, through his garage, to the car, outside of the garage, and then him in there with his little mouse pad, like adjusting the mix in the car. And that was his first time ever doing it. He's like, I just want to see, because everyone listens to it in the car. So let's mix this record, or just like a song. Let's mix this song in the car. And then we came back inside and we were like, that's great. You know, and then but it was funny to like do that because it's so true. You know what I mean? Everyone listens in the car.
You've had a chance to play some of the new tracks live during this European tour that you guys were on. What do you see as the most challenging track from this new record when it comes to performing it live?
Into the Earth, hands down. Hands down. That song is...
Wow, it took you no time. It was like...
No, that song is... It's the last song of the set, so it's nice. My forearms and legs are all already on fire, so I'm all warmed up. But if we had to open with that track, it wouldn't happen. Like, that song is very unforgiving, you know, for every member of the band. You know, it's funny because that's Will's, I think, easiest song, but it's everyone else's hardest song. Like, it's the fastest song. It's a lot going on, and then at the end we have that big breakdown. And by the time we get there, I'm so excited. I'm like, we made it through. Thank God.
Yeah. It's over. I can go have something to drink or whatever it is I want to do afterwards.
Oh, it's the last song in the set. I just fall over. I'm like, thank you.
How is the lyrical process? Does that fall solely on Will when it comes to putting the lyrics together? Or do you guys kind of have an input on where you want the storylines to go as far as the individual songs are concerned?
Well, if you know Will as a person, he could do anything. So as soon as you put him in a like guide him a little bit. Like in the beginning, you know, he'll have a lot of great ideas, and then he'll come to us and we're like, all right, well, why don't we narrow it down a little bit? And then Adam will sit with him because Adam's good with words. I'm not. I'm good with pattern because I'm a rhythmic, you know, kind of person. So we'll kind of sit there. You know, the other two members of the band, you know, Andrew and Moke, they'll, you know, put in their outside input and just, you know, strictly upon just like, all right, does this sound good? Does this not? Or, oh, this could be longer. This could be this. So it's very collaborative. I mean, as far as the actual lyrics, Will writes the heavy load of it. You know, we'll literally just maybe say, hey, there's a lot of words. Maybe trim this. This doesn't need to be in there. This line, you know, just little tiny adjustments without losing the story. And if we are taking out too many lines, you know, Will go rewrite. But it's predominantly Will. I mean, you know, yeah, he writes a lot of lyrics. You know, like we'll have to narrow it down sometimes to get some stuff. And then other times, you know, he knows the mission and he's starting to learn now, especially with performing more, just how to make the job effective, you know, like work smart, not hard. So it's like, you don't have to put so many words on every part, just make it impactful. If it's impactful, doesn't need, is almost sometimes less is more, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's definitely not the case on this record, but I think he's learning that now with playing these songs live. He's like, wow, like these songs are very challenging. I'm like, yeah, that's, you wanted to go crazy. You know, and they just got off the Tour Parkway Drive. He's like, man, everything's so simple, man. I got to be up there all day. I'm like, yeah. So like, you know, you see it, you know, and you got to know, like, you know, a lot of deathcore is just a pissing contest. How crazy can you go? What's the biggest word you can use? You know, how smart can you sound without being actually smart? You know what I mean? So it's like, it's like, yeah, it's like all the big words and stuff. Like we're not that type of band. Like I think writing from the heart and more emotional is definitely the route we've always wanted to be. And with Will, I think that's possible.
Now, you guys have a North American tour starting in a week, if I'm not mistaken. Almost entirely sold out, like I said at the beginning of this conversation. How are you guys managing that? Like, are you excited? Are you surprised? Are you guys now looking at maybe adding a few more shows, changing venues, or are you just comfortable being where you currently sit?
I think we're more just comfortable just because these are the biggest venues we've ever done a headliner on. Some of these venues are even bigger than, you know, the Chaos and Carnage that we did, you know, a few of them in certain markets. So to do that by ours, you know, with us, Aborted, you know, a great package. I mean, overall, like this is the package we wanted. Like I look up to Aborted, you know, Ken Badine was a huge influence on this record. So to have them be a part of this tour, like their record came out right when we were doing this, and I was just listening to those drum parts. I'm like, you know, really emulating that. So, but it's like, I could talk about Ken Badine all day. Every interview I ever do, I talk about Ken Badine. Just do a whole All Star Ken Badine interview. No, I mean, we've talked about upgrading, but I think we just want to stay where we're at, you know, because a lot of this is just, you know, business wise, it's just like, you know, these people, promoters put us in venues in their cities and we're selling it out very quickly. So next time, you're not going to put us in that same venue. Mm-hmm. And I got to knock that down so that next time it could just be even bigger and keep evolving, because we could upgrade the venue maybe to something massive and then maybe not sell it. And to be honest, I just want to see it say all sold out, you know. And we've done a few upgrades like Palladium in Worcester, Massachusetts. I don't know if you've ever been. I know a lot of people from Montreal always come down to Palladium, but that's a massive room, the downstairs. I mean, we've only played the upstairs. We played downstairs once with Despised Icon back in the day. And I mean, I never imagined us headlining that room. I mean, that's a massive room, big theater. And we opened the balcony, opening up 400 more tickets. It just sold out yesterday. So it's like
the Toronto show sold out like in 30 minutes. And you guys are playing at a venue where bands like Mayhem could not even get a third of the attendance at their show. So I don't know what to tell you, but I'm so excited.
I don't know what's going on, you know. I mean, as far as like processing it, you know, it's like it almost doesn't feel real sometimes, to be honest with you. It's just like, and it's just, and it sucks because all the artists and the hungry, you know, person that we all are, I just was like, yeah, I don't know, like I just want more now. Like now that I've seen this can be accomplished, I want more. You know what I mean? Like So we're just like comfortable with the tour right now. I mean, you know, a few shows are. I think we're only 4 away from an entirely sold out tour.
And
So
I think you guys are going to get there. I honestly think you guys are going to get there.
I hope. I hope so. I think we will too. I mean, as we start going on tour and posted pictures and updates, and people, you know, start to get that little FOMO. Oh, I don't want to miss out on this. It looks like a great show. It looks, because we're, you know, we put a lot more thought and time and money into the production of this tour. So this will be the most flamboyant, extravagant Lorna Shore performance, and also the longest set we've ever played. So
I want to ask you one more question. We're running out of time, but I have to ask you this. How are you and the band in general dealing with the success that you guys have worked so hard for so many years, and finally now you guys are getting a taste of it?
I mean, it's still eyes on the prize. I mean, still, I feel like we are so far, and it's almost like I need people around me to remind me of the journey. But it's hard to like understand it because it's never happened. I didn't, you know, I could have my own visions of like, oh, we're gonna be the biggest band ever, but like, you know, that's just me chalking myself up. But like, you know, me and Adam would talk like we just want to be the biggest band in metal. Like we want to be, and it's funny because the goals we had we're already past that. So now we have new goals, and it's just, you know, it's hard to, because I'm so humble, man. I need to start putting my chest up a little bit, knowing who we are and what we've accomplished. But
you need an entourage.
I need an entourage, people around me, and I have those people. You know, I do have a great support system. So like, other than that, I mean, just as far as like mentally and physically, I mean, obviously, you know, I had an injury just from, you know, going hard for years. You know, I'm still kind of fighting it a little bit, but I'm gonna be good enough to go on tour. And then from this next period, we'll have time off, and I'll really be able to get myself sorted. But I mean, we're just we're trying our best to just not let it get to our head and understand that we still have a long ways to go. Like, I don't want to be stuck where we're at and just stay at that level. Like we want to be like a Lamb of God, a Kill Switch, Engage, you know, like a band playing for a long time, headlining festivals, you know, having just a good following of people, and just to be around for as long as we can, you know. So I think that for once in my life, I really think it's possible. Like data, I'm like, oh, it's possible. You know, when I'm 12 years old saying I'm going to be in the biggest band, sure. But like now it's like, I've really, like, we always look at it, I think we might be able to pull this off. Like we might be able to like really change the game right now. So I think we just have a lot more to offer. You know, even from after this album comes out, there's more songs, there's more feelings. You know, we're all very emotional, dramatic people. So I don't think we'll run out of gas anytime soon. I can promise that.
I don't think so either. Well, Austin, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for being a part of what I consider to be the best album of 2022. Pain Remains comes out October 14th. Incredible record. Pick it up. And if tickets are still available, go see these guys on this North American tour. The tickets are slim pickings right now, but don't miss it. The lineup is killer, and just to see you guys playing a full headlining set is definitely worth the price of admission. So, Austin, thank you very much. I'll see you in Toronto.
Thank you, Pedro. I appreciate you so much.
Take care, man. All the best.
You too. Bye.